Hello everyone, uh, welcome back to my channel. I am right here at my leather workshop, and I'm working on this stove that a friend of mine sent me here to have it checked, since he told me that this thing has been spewing off fuel or producing uh, flame inconsistently, and he wanted me to check and possibly maybe fix his problem, so he wouldn't have to buy another stove. This is, by the way, a kovea moonwalker stove, and the main problem is that it's been spewing fuel and inconsistently producing fire. Igniter on this one is already busted, so we will just use a lighter. And before lighting up the stove, I would like to perform a leak test. So to be sure that we are safe, since I am doing this work indoors for the purpose of this video. And the safest way to perform a leak test is simply just grab a piece of sponge, soak it in dishwashing soap, and then after inserting your fuel, you turn that valve on and you rub that sponge on the hose of your stove to check if there are any bubbles being produced. A bubble would simply mean that there is a leak somewhere, and I do not think that this thing has a leak on it, so we'll just turn the valve off. So this is probably what's wrong with this one. It's no longer producing enough fuel. That's disabling the jet from distributing fuel to produce fire. And I'm guessing it's because there's already too much corrosion and dirt on this stove, most especially on the fuel jet that's located underneath. And we'll try to see what we can do, perhaps maybe perform an overall cleaning and see what's the result. We will disassemble this stove using a small screwdriver, a Phillips head screw. First, we are going to check the fuel jet on this one. So after removing these two screws, the next step is going to be a bit of a very critical job, since we are going to straighten up this anti-flare system or the preheating system. What this thing actually does is it preheats the fuel coming from the cylinders before it reaches the fuel jet that's located on here. By preheating the fuel, it allows the stove not to make any sudden sparks or flares during its ignition. So to do that, you will need to use a long nose pliers. You straighten this part out since it is slightly bent towards the burner, and you must be be extra careful in doing this, and you have to do it slowly, since if you are not careful, there's a tendency that you might cause a puncture or break this part, which is also going to cause a fuel leakage, since fuel also runs through here. So when this part is already straightened up, you just remove the cover and then carefully pull this thing off, and you should already have access to your main fuel jet, which is this one. I don't know if you can see clearly, but the main jet or the main fuel jet is, I think it's already clogged up with too much oil and dirt that's been building up for over periods of time that it has been used. And what we are going to do is to unscrew this using a long nose pliers and try to check if it's clogged up inside. Then we might need to clean it. So to unscrew this, you just turn it counterclockwise, but be careful uh, not to put pressure, too much pressure on this hose, or again you might also cause another fuel leakage. There are actually many ways to have this properly cleaned out, and some of you may have already known that you can soak this with alcohol or lacquer thinner, and you might have also been given advice that to use WD-40, but for me this is a big no-no, since WD-40 will often deteriorate and eat parts from your stove that are actually made of petrol, which are plastics or rubber gaskets that might be on your system. You could potentially damage it by using this one. But on my perspective and what I have been using for over the years, I actually prefer using a motorcycle carburetor cleaner. This thing is actually cheaper than the WD-40, and it is safe to use on fuel jets, rubber o-rings, and plastic parts that are might be in your stove cooking system. And the best part of this thing is that it is uh, aerosol type, so you can actually blow out uh, some of the particles that are stuck inside. That's like so much better than soaking this in alcohol or a lacquer thinner. By the way, when using this spray, avoid getting in contact with your skin, because it could cause possibly slight burns and irritation, especially uh, to your eyes. So my advice is to wear some sort of goggles or glasses when doing this, and if possible also perform your cleaning outside. But for this video, I'd rather do it here since it's the most convenient for me. And you just spray on the fuel line. If you want to wear surgical gloves or whatever gloves you have, please feel free to do so. And you can also spray it on the main fuel jet. Again, make sure that your eyes or skin is away during spraying. If you still think that the pinhole is still clogged up, You can also use a piece of a strand of a copper wire or from an electrical wire and insert it on the hole that's on this fuel jet. You will only need one strand of this wire to insert on the fuel jet. Any piece of stranded wire, as long as it is thin enough to insert on the fuel jet pinhole. And when you are done cleaning out that pinhole, what you are going to do next is to actually put the straw on the back portion of this jet and hold it like this, and when you spray, you should be able to see the fuel squirting out from that pinhole that you just cleaned out. See, again, make sure that it doesn't get to your eyes or skin. I'm already quite used to this, so I don't have problem with it. And now that I am sure that this fuel jet is already clean, I'm also going to spray the rest of the parts of the stove, the fuel line, and also possibly maybe disassemble this, and also clean the burner. I'm still going to use the carburetor spray cleaner, and then assemble the piece again, and we'll try to see if it has some improvements on its performance. Again, this thing is super safe to use on plastics or rubber gaskets that are possibly on your fuel stove system, so you won't have any possible problems during this entire process. And next, we're going to remove the burner, and to do that, you just simply move that igniter away from the stove, again using your long nose pliers, but you must be very wary in doing this or you'll damage some parts of your stove. And from there, you can just simply unscrew this and clean out this part as well. So in spraying this, I would rather prefer if you spray from the bottom going to the top. That's going to allow us to remove the dirt and oil that has possibly entered this stove burner. And for the main body of the stove, you don't really have to disassemble everything. You just spray on what's in there. Again, be extra careful with your skin and eyes. This thing can actually cause irritation, and I have done this many times, so I'm already used to it. Uh, Carburetor sprays are very effective regardless of what brands do you have. I just bought this for about 170 pesos, or about $3 to $4 only. And when you're done spraying, just wipe the excess dirt off. You may also optionally have this body entirely super clean by using sandpaper or whatever stuff you might have there that you can rub this thing off. But for this stove, we just want to have it functioning back to its normal operation. So now we are going to put all together back in and try to see if we have some improvements. So here it is. After assembling your stove in one piece, make sure everything is tight, including the hose, the burner, and most especially the screws on the bottom of this fuel jet. So moment of truth. That to me looks so much better than the first time we've tested. And during your first test, you will actually notice a few discoloration. That is because of the carburetor spray that are still on the system. So I hope you learned something from this video, and don't forget to subscribe and follow my page for more outdoor tips and equipment maintenance. Thank you for watching.